Now, wasn't Nigel Kelly committed at one point?
Yeah, so he committed August of 2020. Under the radar guy, had a really good sophomore season. After he committed, Texas, Oregon, LSU schools started to enter the picture, and then all of a sudden he decommits in April, and then Auburn, Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, the big schools, you know, the big boys come in, and I think that's opened up his desire to see what else is out there. He said time and time again, and anyone he's talked to, that FSU is still his number one school, that he's a Florida State fan. I think that he's opened his recruitment to truly see what other options are out there. Florida State needs to land him. He's 6'4", 240, another kid who had 13 sacks this past year in limited, I think, four or five games. He's going to be one of those top 100 kids at the end of the cycle. Florida State's got to get him back. And FSU's done a good job recently of getting kids back into the fold. You know, look at Malik McLean. I think could be a great example to show Kelly. You know, he committed, decommitted, and ended up back in the fold and had a really great spring. So he's making an official visit in September for the Notre Dame game, but he's expected to be there for the summer. And he's also lined up visits to Indiana, LSU, and Oregon. So that's one to watch. I think that comes down to a Miami FSU battle.
You've got a couple other players listed at D end, including Quincy Wiggins out of Baton Rouge.
Yes. Quincy Wiggins is that prototypical SEC, quote unquote, defensive end. Once he gets into a college program and his coach, he's the guy who I have starred as a guy who, when he gets into college, is going to take that next step, who has all of the tools to be a first-round draft pick. He's college ready right now. He's coached well. He's been at FSU quite a few times, so he's just one to watch. And he's mentioned lining up an official visit. Don't know when. It's been a little bit since I talked to him, but Florida State is really after him.
There's tons of reasons to go after Shamar Stewart. That's obvious. He's the best player at his position, arguably. He's right there. But I guess the caveat there as well, Nate, as we go to the interior defensive line, is that Florida State would be able to say, we got the top-rated player in the state.
Yeah, so, I put Gabriel Dendy and Shamar Stewart there because they both mentioned about taking visits to Florida State. But, I think that right now Florida State has to show on the field that they've taken that next step in order to land those guys. Stewart seems a little bit more open to the idea of Florida State. I think he is an interior guy in college, and I think that's where he would fit at Florida State. Florida State's got work to do to land those two guys. Dendy is an Oklahoma lean, heavy. His parents went there, but they'll continue to push for them, and you get them on campus, show them a great time, which Norvell has been praised a lot by these recruits, so that his presentation, the way he interacts with these kids on visits, which is going to be the thing that I think really helps Florida State, which is something that we don't really talk about because we haven't had a chance to with COVID. We'll see what happens with Shamar Stewart.
I was curious about Dindy because I saw him listed crystal ball 100% Oklahoma, and I thought the Sooners, for as great as they are, typically don't dip into Florida for that level of player. Didn't know about the legacy connection there.
Yep.
All right, Nate, as you look at the rest of the list here, starting with Caleb Artis, your rundown of their skill sets and where they may stand in their thought process at this point.
I think Caleb Artis is a kid who's he's going to make an official visit to Florida State June 25th. 6'5", 270 from New York, has visits lined up to Indiana, Virginia, Penn State. in Auburn. So he's got his Final Five. He's emerging a little bit as the summer's coming. A guy that I really like is Horace Lockett from Atlanta, Georgia. Another big body, 6'5", 265. Another kid is going to take another visit June 25th. So if you're noticing, Florida State's starting to group these kids together. I think he's a guy who's going to blow up in the summer. Bishop Thomas has been on Florida State's radar for a while. I think that early on, he's a guy who I thought would be committed. But I think when you look at a guy like Artis and Lockett and Daniel Lyons, who we'll talk about in a second, those guys maybe have emerged past them or past Bishop. And while Bishop is making a visit again June 25th, I'm interested to see if they wait and see what happens with these other kids before they put the press back on him. Brandon Cleveland, I mentioned when he decommitted from Miami, there were some people who thought he'd be jumping right on the Florida State train. His recruitment has cooled off a little bit. I think he wants to take time in order to make that second decision, which I think is smart. Florida State will continue to go after him. Daniel Lyons, him and his teammate Dante Anderson, again, they come to Florida State quite a few times. I think this will be a Florida State-Florida battle. He played 6 games this year, 5 sacks. He's made a ton of visits in the spring, coming again in the summer. And I think Daniel Lyons is a guy that Florida State can make a move this summer. And it would not surprise me to see him on the commit list. I love kids from South Florida. They play with that swagger, that chip on their shoulder. He's a big kid, 6'4", 270, moves really well. So, he's one guy I'm watching. Him and Lockett are my 2 favorite right now.
160 million people shop on Amazon every month. When you do, please use the link that we provide in the description section. So that's a crazy number. And so we know most of our viewers do at some point. So when you do, you get the same shopping experience when you grab the link in the description section. Doesn't cost you a penny. Same shopping experience. You just use the link that we provide. Thank you so much for doing that.